UFC Fight Island 3, Whittaker versus Teal, is over. It's a great night of fights, a lot of fights on this card. But here is, in my opinion, the biggest winners and losers. A couple of heavyweight bouts tonight. The first one on the card was Tanner Boser versus RafaelNez. Tanner took care of business for the second time in a row, winning by knockout. And Tanner, of course, looks good, but in my opinion, Nunes looked even worse. He took a big shot to the eye that, that may have been very damaging. I don't know, but it looked like a knuckle in the eye, and he seemed to really be in pain and kind of crumble afterwards. I don't want to sell the guy short, but in a professional fight game, you can't crumble from pain, and that's what he appeared to do. So, for me, Nunes is a loser here. Tanner, because he's stringing together those two knockouts, we'll call him a winner. The second heavyweight fight of the night was between Tom Aspinall and Jake Collier. This one had a little bit more pizzazz to it than the first one, even though it was only 45 seconds in its entirety. Aspinall took care of business, won with a TKO. It was his UFC debut. I know there's a lot of hype surrounding this guy, and he delivered on it. He only took one strike during the fight, I believe, and it was a leg strike, a leg kick. So he made it look very easy, and Collier appeared to allow him to make it look easy. Collier is a former middleweight who's currently a light heavyweight, but was fighting at heavyweight. And I gotta say, he looked like he had just eaten a middleweight right before the fight. He came out, he looked to be in terrible shape. He was stiff and slow and possibly served up to the wolves. So Aspinall, he's a winner tonight, and to me, Collier looked like a big loser. Jumping ahead on up the card just to stay with that dialogue of heavyweights, we had Fabricio Werdum taking on Alexander Gustafsson. Now, I love Fabricio. I think he's way too underrated, and he proved it again tonight, where he made it look easy, man. He took on Gus, and he submitted him by armbar in the first round. Took him 2.5 minutes to do so, and he looked great in doing this. He was relentless in his takedown and showed great transition, first going for the rear naked choke and transitioning to the armbar. Gus just didn't seem to pose much of a threat here, and of course, he loses his comeback fight coming out of retirement and his debut fight as a heavyweight. So to me, Gus is a bit of a loser, and Werdum is a big winner. And let's show this man some respect. Let's start treating him like the heavyweight he is. So Jesse Ronson is a clear winner tonight, big winner. He wins his debut fight in his second stint in the UFC. As they talked about a lot on the show, and many people know, Jesse had a 3-fight stint in the UFC a while back where he suffered 3 split decision losses. That's got to weigh on your conscience. It's got to put a chip on your shoulder. And Jesse came out and took care of a very legit and a very big Nicolas Dolby. He looked near perfect in doing so. He dropped him with a straight left that Dolby didn't see coming. Me, as the viewer, I barely saw it land. But he dropped him, and then he choked him out on the ground. So, to me, Ronson's a clear winner tonight, not just because he looked so good and took care of a legit opponent, but also because he finally gets to end that streak of split decision losses. Gets his first W in the UFC, and I guarantee you they're going to call him back. Taking it to the light heavyweight division now, Paul Craig and Nicolas had a fight, of course, and Paul Craig comes out as a clear victor, clear winner here, and Nicolas looks a bit like a loser. Craig he implemented his game plan. He looked perfect. He wins in the first round, 2 minutes 6 seconds, and just showed great technique. Once he went to the ground, he tried the guillotine. He used that to get control. Then he threatened the armbar and opened up with the triangle choke. Perfect execution, perfect transitions. He just looked amazing. In doing this, Nicolas was, of course, on top of him when Craig started to sink in that triangle choke. And instead of trying to escape, He tried to punch his way out. Now, granted, Paul Craig absorbed a bunch of big strikes on the ground, but he was undeterred and just kept going for that triangle choke, eventually sinking it in. Craig is a clear winner because the fight just went so smoothly for him. And I got to call Antigulov a loser here because, for one, he made a mistake. He made a big mistake in not escaping and instead trying to punch his way out. But also, he kind of appeared to get played a little bit, in my opinion. He probably had some advantages elsewhere in the fight, but he fed right into what Craig wanted him to do and got choked out for it. Probably the biggest winner of the night was Khamzat Chimaev, of course. Everybody's talking about this guy now. He broke the record in getting 2 wins in the course of 10 days, and he was just totally dominant. He destroyed Reese McKee in 3 minutes and 10 seconds, and that was a long 3 minutes for Reese, I'm sure. He absorbed, Khamzat absorbed 0 strikes in this fight, and I believe he only took 1 in his last fight, which means that he's had more UFC fights and wins than he has absorbed strikes. I'm pretty sure that's a record. I don't know that for sure, but it seems pretty ridiculous so much that it's got to be a record, right? So did he set 2 records last night? Quickest turnaround victories and, ratio of absorbed strikes to victories. This guy's got a real future. He's on everybody's radar now. He's really emerging as a real contender. And, you got to think that he's probably going to get a number next to his name on Monday. McKee, he had a big opportunity here in his UFC debut. I'm not going to call him a loser because I don't think many people are going to stand up to that type of assault. But Khamzat is a huge winner here, maybe the biggest winner on the night. So, what do these guys in yellow have in common? Well, all 6 of them won Performance of the Night honors and go home $50,000 richer. Now, I do feel like we got to throw in 1 more winner and 1 more loser. Let's start with the loser. The Carla Esparza versus Marina Rodriguez fight is pretty entertaining, and Carla won, but I'm going to call her a loser here. I'm calling her a loser because in my eyes, she lost that fight. All she really did was get the takedowns, and she really didn't even control the ground too much. She kept it there, but she absorbed more damage from the top than Rodriguez did on the bottom. Now, she had her moments, but at the end of the fight, it was clear to me, just by looking at him, who had won that fight. I'm not a big fan of Carla. I'm not a big fan of this type of fighter who prefers to wrestle than to inflict damage. Of course, Carla's going to go up in the rankings, but in my opinion, she does nothing for her reputation, and really kind of just shows all the girls in this weight class that as long as you can keep from being taken down, she's a pretty easy out. The last winner we're going to talk about here, now he didn't get the Performance of the Night award, but I feel like we've got to talk about him, is Francisco Trinaldo. He wins by a KO in the 3rd round, a pretty vicious one. Francisco is he's a very old fighter. He's been doing it for a long time. He's at the point in his life, not just his career, but his life, where most people are slowing down, and he doesn't appear to be. He's fighting a newcomer in Herbert, and Francisco came out and had a very strong 1st round, but he seemed to lose a little bit of steam and lose the 2nd round to his opponent. But then he comes back out in the 3rd round and KOs him. Now, the big thing here, 2 big things here. One is he's an old guy, and he's still showing that he's still got it, and he still has plans to be here, so give it up for the old guy. But number 2, and one of the reasons to me why he's a big winner here, is because he KO'd Herbert. And for whatever reason, Herb Dean didn't step in and stop the fight. Francisco had to drop a couple more on him. It was clear he didn't want to. This is the kind of athlete we need in the sport, a person who's willing to inflict damage, but only to a conscious, responsive, and intelligent fighter. Trinaldo wasn't happy with that, and Dan Hardy wasn't happy with that. A lot of fans, I'm sure, weren't happy with it. So, you got to give props to the guy who can turn it on and turn it off like that. Francisco, you're a winner in my book tonight. As mentioned, this was a great night of fights. A lot of fights I didn't talk about that are worthy of being talked about, but we're going to wrap it up here. We made some predictions a little bit earlier in the week. Check out this video about how much money you would have made if you listened to me and bet on these guys. Well, we got another one coming up this next Saturday. It's going to be a good one. Till then.
Whoosh.